Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you looked in the mirror not to fix your hair, not to brush your teeth, but to truly see yourself? And I don't mean the version of you that hides behind titles, roles, or what the world expects you to be. I'm talking about the real, unfiltered, raw you. When was the last time you said, I love you, and meant it? This is where we begin. Because if you're tired of pouring from an empty cup, of giving love to everyone else but forgetting yourself in the process, then this message is for you. If you stay with me, we're going to strip away the lies that told you you're not enough and replace them with unshakable truths. Together, we're going to rediscover what it means to truly, unapologetically love yourself. Are you ready? Let's dive in. True self-love begins when you stop trying to be perfect. We live in a world where the idea of perfection is often sold to us like a product, an image of the ideal body, the flawless career, the perfect relationships. We are constantly bombarded with messages telling us what we should look like, feel like, or be like. But here's the truth: perfection is a myth. It's not real, and trying to achieve it only leaves us feeling inadequate, frustrated, and disconnected from who we really are. When you embrace your imperfections, you embrace your humanity. Think about it. If everything were perfect, there would be no room for growth, no opportunity for learning, no space for the unique, beautiful aspects of yourself to emerge. Perfectionism creates a cage, while imperfection creates freedom. It's the cracks and the flaws that make us whole and relatable. It's the mistakes, the lessons learned, and the scars earned along the way that create the most powerful, authentic version of ourselves. Take a moment and think about the people you admire most. Are they perfect? Are they without flaws? Chances are the people you look up to are those who have learned to love themselves, not in spite of their flaws, but because of them. They've faced adversity, they've fallen, they've gotten back up, and they've allowed their experiences to shape them into who they are today. It's not their perfection that makes them special. It's their resilience, their authenticity, and their willingness to embrace the full spectrum of their journey. When we refuse to accept our imperfections, we deny ourselves the ability to grow and evolve. We often spend so much time hiding what we perceive as flaws, trying to cover them up or pretending they don't exist. But in doing so, we miss the power of vulnerability, the magic that happens when we show up as we truly are. This is where real love begins. Self-love isn't about having it all together or pretending we're someone we're not. It's about accepting ourselves in every stage of life, in every form, at every size, and in every emotion. Learning to love yourself means letting go of the idea that you have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You are enough as you are in this very moment. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be you, unapologetically, authentically, and vulnerably you. When you show up as your real self, flaws and all, you give permission to others to do the same. You create a ripple effect of freedom where others can let go of their own self-judgment and embrace the power of imperfection. So stop chasing perfection and start accepting your beautifully imperfect self. Love yourself not in spite of your flaws, but because of them. Every so-called imperfection is an opportunity for growth, for connection, and for deeper self-love. You are not broken, you are becoming. Embrace your imperfections, and in doing so, you will discover the most powerful form of love for yourself. The way we talk to ourselves has the power to shape our reality. Every thought, every word we speak to ourselves plants a seed in the garden of our self-worth. Yet most of us spend more time criticizing, judging, and doubting ourselves than we do nurturing our own souls. How often do you look in the mirror and hear yourself say things like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, or I'm a failure? These words, though they may seem small, carry weight. They form the internal script that dictates how we show up in the world. Our self-talk becomes the soundtrack of our lives. And when that soundtrack is full of negativity, it's no surprise that we feel less than stuck or disconnected from our true potential. When we speak harshly to ourselves, we are reinforcing the idea that we are unworthy of love, respect, and success. But what if, just for a moment, you change the conversation? What if, instead of focusing on everything that's wrong with you, you chose to affirm everything that's right? Self-love begins with what you say to yourself, and changing your inner dialogue can change the trajectory of your life. Think about the last time someone you love gave you a compliment or words of encouragement. How did it feel? Most likely it lifted your spirit and gave you a sense of purpose. The impact of a kind word, whether from a friend or a stranger, is powerful. But why wait for someone else to validate you? You have the power to be the first person to encourage yourself. The truth is, you are the most important voice you'll ever hear. When you speak words of affirmation and compassion to yourself, you begin to build the foundation of self-love. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," try saying, "I am enough. Just as I am," instead of doubting your abilities. Remind yourself, "I am capable of achieving great things." Every time you speak kindly to yourself, you're rewiring your brain to believe in your worth and your potential. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being your own harshest critic, but the more you practice positive self-talk, the more natural it will feel. You are your own biggest advocate, and it's time to treat yourself as such. The words you speak to yourself create your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not worthy of success, happiness, or love, then that's exactly what you will manifest. But if you choose to believe in your greatness, to speak words of encouragement and strength, you open the door to a life filled with possibility. This isn't about arrogance or delusion. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, your unique gifts, and your potential. It's about shifting from a mindset of limitation to a mindset of abundance. When you speak to yourself with love, you give yourself permission to rise, to reach higher, and to become the person you were always meant to be. Every moment is an opportunity to change the way you talk to yourself. Begin today. Speak words of love, encouragement, and belief. Let your self-talk be the foundation of a life built on confidence, peace, and the undeniable knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. One of the most powerful acts of self-love is learning to set boundaries, not out of fear or anger, but out of a deep understanding of your own worth. Boundaries are not walls that keep people away. They are the lines that define where you end and where others begin. They help you protect your energy, your peace, and your emotional well-being. Setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about honoring yourself. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries, you devalue your own needs and give away pieces of yourself that you can never get back. Setting healthy boundaries starts with recognizing that you are deserving of respect. You have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You have the right to protect your time, your heart, and your mind. In a world that often demands so much of us, it's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to everything, even when it drains us. We feel pressure to meet the needs and expectations of others at the expense of our own well-being. But what good is it to give so much to others if, in doing so, we lose ourselves in the process? Learning to say no is a powerful act of self-love. It's a way of saying, "I honor myself. I honor my time. I honor my needs." You don't have to apologize for needing space, for taking time for yourself, or for choosing to protect your peace. Setting boundaries is not about cutting people off or being harsh. It's about being clear with others about what is acceptable and what is not. Boundaries can be set with kindness and respect, but they must be firm. Think about the times in your life when you felt overwhelmed, stressed, or resentful because you didn't set boundaries. How often did you find yourself agreeing to things you didn't want to do, simply because you didn't know how to say no? The truth is, we teach people how to treat us. When we don't set boundaries, we teach others that it's okay to take advantage of us, to overstep, or to ignore our needs. But when we set clear boundaries, we teach others that our time, our energy, and our well-being are valuable. Setting boundaries isn't just about protecting yourself from others, it's also about protecting yourself from your own unhealthy habits. How many times have you ignored your own needs because you were too busy pleasing others, or pushing yourself too hard, or neglecting your own self-care? Boundaries remind you that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. You have the right to say no to exhaustion, to overwhelm, and to burnout. The beauty of setting boundaries is that it doesn't have to be a confrontation. It doesn't have to come from a place of anger or resentment. Boundaries can be set with grace, with understanding, and with love for both yourself and others. When you honor your boundaries, you create space for healthier relationships, more meaningful connections, and a deeper sense of self-respect. You teach others how to honor you, and in return, you create an environment where love, respect, and understanding can thrive. So remember, setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but of self-preservation. It's an essential practice in the journey of self-love, because when you take the time to protect your energy, you open the door to a life that's filled with peace, clarity, and the freedom to truly be yourself. Celebrating your wins, no matter how big or small, is a powerful act of self-love. It's far too easy to overlook the milestones we reach, to dismiss our progress as insignificant, or to focus solely on the things we haven't accomplished yet. We live in a world that often praises hustle and achievement, teaching us to keep striving for more without taking time to appreciate what we've already done. But if you're going to truly love yourself, you must learn to recognize and celebrate the victories, no matter their size. Each step forward, no matter how small it seems, is a testament to your strength, your perseverance, and your growth. Think about it for a moment. How often do you stop and acknowledge the hard work you've put in? How many times have you completed a task, overcome a challenge, or achieved a goal, only to move on to the next without taking a breath to celebrate? It's easy to get caught up in the chase for the next thing, but true self-love requires you to honor where you are, not just where you're going. When you celebrate your wins, you give yourself permission to feel proud, to appreciate your efforts, and to build your confidence. Too often, we think that we need to achieve something grand in order to be worthy of celebration. But every victory is valuable, whether it's waking up early to take care of yourself, completing a project at work, or simply making it through a tough day. These are all victories worth celebrating. They are evidence of your resilience, your determination, and your ability to push through challenges. One of the most empowering things you can do is take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. In a world that constantly tells you to strive for more, celebrating your achievements is a reminder that you are enough as you are. You don't have to wait for someone else to validate your success. You can celebrate yourself right here, right now. Every time you acknowledge your wins, you reinforce the message that you are deserving of success and happiness. You affirm your worth, not based on external achievements, but on your own self-recognition. By celebrating your progress, you also train your mind to focus on what you've gained rather than what you've yet to accomplish. This shift in focus can help you find joy in the journey rather than placing all your happiness in a future goal. Success isn't just about the end result, it's about the steps you take to get there. Each day you show up for yourself, each time you take action towards your goals, you are winning. The more you celebrate these moments, the more you reinforce your belief in yourself and your ability to succeed. The beauty of celebrating your wins, no matter how small, is that it builds momentum. The more you acknowledge your progress, the more you begin to believe that you are capable of even greater things. It shifts your mindset from one of scarcity and lack to one of abundance and possibility. You realize that every step, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is a vital part of your journey. So, start today. Celebrate every win. Whether it's something as small as completing a to-do list or as monumental as achieving a lifelong dream, honor it. Take a moment to pause, to feel proud, and to appreciate yourself. By doing so, you are not just marking the milestones, you are nurturing the very relationship you have with yourself. And that, my friend, is one of the greatest acts of self-love you can give. To truly love yourself, you must make peace with your past. So many of us carry emotional baggage from the wounds we've experienced throughout our lives, wounds from relationships, from failures, from experience throughout our relationships, from failures, from disappointments, or from the harshness of the world. These wounds can linger, often without us even realizing it, affecting how we see ourselves and how we engage with others. They shape our beliefs about what we deserve, our confidence, and our ability to trust again. Healing these wounds is not an easy process, but it is an essential part of the journey to self-love. The pain of the past can be overwhelming. Whether it's the hurt from someone you loved, the scars of unmet expectations, or the shame of past mistakes, these wounds can create a sense of brokenness. They may make you feel unworthy or unlovable, as if the pain you've carried defines who you are. But the truth is, your past does not determine your future. You are not defined by the mistakes you made or by the people who hurt you. Healing is about releasing the power that these wounds hold over you so you can move forward with a renewed sense of self-worth and freedom. One of the most important aspects of healing is forgiveness, not just forgiving others, but also forgiving yourself. We often hold on to guilt or shame for things we've done or failed to do. We beat ourselves up for the mistakes we've made, replaying the past over and over in our minds. But carrying this burden only keeps us chained to the past. To love yourself, you must recognize that you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. You are not perfect, and that's okay. What matters is that you learn from those experiences, grow from them, and choose to forgive yourself. Another key to healing is learning to let go of what you cannot control. There are so many things in life that happen to us, things that hurt us deeply, that are beyond our power to change. It's easy to fall into the trap of wishing things had been different, of replaying moments where we feel we could have done something to avoid the pain. But holding on to these thoughts keeps you trapped in a cycle of regret. The only way to truly heal is to release the need to control the past and accept that what happened, happened. What matters now is how you move forward. Healing isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process that takes time and patience. There may be days when the pain resurfaces, when old wounds are reopened, and when you feel like you're back at square one. But healing is not linear, and that's okay. It's part of the process. Every time you feel the pain and choose to face it, you are one step closer to releasing it. The more you honor your emotions, the more you allow yourself to feel, the easier it becomes to let go of the past. When you begin to heal, you free yourself from the burden of old wounds. You begin to see yourself not through the lens of pain and hurt, but through the lens of strength and resilience. You recognize that you are not defined by what has happened to you, but by the way you rise, the way you learn, and the way you choose to love yourself through it all. True self-love is born out of healing. It's about forgiving the past, letting go of what you cannot change, and giving yourself the grace to move forward. As you heal, you make space for the love, joy, and peace you deserve. The scars may remain, but they no longer have the power to control you. They become symbols of your growth, your resilience, and your ability to overcome. Self-care is one of the most essential aspects of loving yourself, yet for many it feels like a luxury or something that should be put off until later. We are often conditioned to believe that taking care of ourselves is selfish, or that it's only acceptable if we have time left over after taking care of everyone else. We give so much of ourselves to our families, our jobs, our friends, and even strangers, leaving little to no time for our own needs. But the truth is, if we don't take the time to care for ourselves, we won't have the energy or the capacity to show up as our best selves for anyone else. Practicing self-care is not a sign of selfishness, it's an act of self-preservation, and it is a vital part of your journey to truly loving yourself. Self-care can take many forms, from physical care like eating nourishing food, exercising, and getting enough sleep, to emotional care such as setting boundaries, practicing mindfulness, or seeking therapy. It's about making sure that you are nurturing your body, mind, and spirit, not because you should, but because you deserve it. Taking time for yourself is not a privilege, it is a necessity. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and when you neglect your own needs, you end up running on empty, exhausted, and overwhelmed. When you practice self-care, you are filling your cup so that you have the strength to give, love, and serve others from a place of fullness, not depletion. One of the most important aspects of self-care is letting go of guilt. Society often places an expectation on women and caregivers to always be available, to always put others first, and to always sacrifice their own needs for the sake of others. But this mindset is damaging, and it's a cycle that many of us have been taught to follow. We feel guilty for taking a break, for saying no, or for doing something just for ourselves. But the truth is, self-care is not something to feel guilty about. It is a necessity. You have every right to take care of yourself without explaining or justifying it to anyone. Self-care doesn't have to be extravagant or time-consuming. It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes to breathe deeply and reset your mind, reading a book that brings you joy, enjoying a warm bath, or going for a walk in nature. It can be scheduling a therapy session, saying no to a commitment that drains you, or taking time to rest when your body is tired. The key is to make self-care a priority and to do it regularly. It's easy to think that you'll get to it later, but later often becomes never. By making self-care a consistent practice, you're showing yourself that you are worthy of love, rest, and rejuvenation. There's also a mental component to self-care that is often overlooked. It's about giving yourself permission to let go of perfectionism, of self-judgment, and of the unrealistic expectations you place on yourself. It's about learning to be gentle with yourself, to speak to yourself with kindness, and to forgive yourself when you fall short. Self-care means accepting that you don't have to be on all the time, that it's okay to ask for help, and that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. When you start practicing self-care without guilt, you begin to show yourself the love and respect you deserve. You start to prioritize your well-being, and by doing so, you create a life where you can thrive. You become more centered, more energized, and more at peace with yourself. Self-care is not a one-time act, it's a lifestyle, one that nurtures your body, mind, and spirit. As you practice it regularly, you'll discover just how powerful it is in fostering deeper self-love and in allowing you to live the life you truly deserve.